Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Computing outside, Classic Empire, head-to-head, down to the line. Cloud Computing wins the Preakness.
Buongiorno, everybody. Saratoga Today, day 28 of the meet. We are rolling along. It's Alabama Day, big day at the spa. It's Pacific Classic Day at Del Mar, big day out west over there. Really, really good card. If I had to put my 2 cents in for which card turned out better, I would have to say Del Mar by a lot. They've got a mandatory payout of the 20-cent pick six, which I am not a fan of, but there'll be maybe $10 million or so in that pool. So if you're so inclined to put in a 20-cent ticket, we'll talk a little bit about that. Because like I said, we'll be today only, well, should never say only, but today we're Saratoga today, Del Mar tonight. Let's just say thanks to our friends at Amwager, RADW, for helping making these shows possible. Zilla Racing Stables, great partnership, opportunities at every level and stage of this sport that we all love. Anybody who wants to can find a way to get in with an outfit like Zilla. Opportunities for everybody, and of course, our friends at Spendthrift Farm, who are still in mourning for their significant loss of, and the industry's significant loss of Wayne Hughes earlier this week. Interesting. A couple of people yesterday and all during the meet have been asking me about restaurants. So we love to eat. We love food. When Saratoga, I used to go up there for the meet, we would always say, Saratoga, you win, you go out to dinner, you lose, you go out to dinner. And when I used to stay for the whole meet, we used to go out to dinner every night. It's amazing when you're young how you don't gain weight. Now, I think at this stage of the game, if we were out to those dinners every stage of the night, I might have trouble making weight in the morning and have to go into the hot box, which reminds me of the Lafitte Pincay interview that will be posted on Monday when we talk about the hot box and what it's like going in there. So it's a little interesting. I think you'll all enjoy that. Restaurants. Okay. So now so we don't have to, and I'll still answer anybody who sends messages who misses this, but my spots as of now, 15 Church, probably the best restaurant in Saratoga, in my opinion. And I'd like to think I know food. 15 Church would be an excellent restaurant wherever it was in the world. Really, really good spot. I could always get in. Sometimes people have trouble getting in. We get in Travis night, doesn't matter. 15 Church. Italian, there's 3 places I like a lot. Nove, owned by a really, really good guy. Only 5 minutes out of town, right there. Good Italian food. A lot of people go there. Pinel's, I've been going to for, 40 years maybe. Panza's, another Italian place on the lake that I've been going to for a long time. Winslow's, Mainstay. Just so many places. Longfellow's is a place that I personally like. It's funny, years and years ago, the hottest place in town to get into was the Tradewinds. It's now the Hilton Spring Garden Hotel, I believe. It's not the Tradewinds anymore. But that was a really, really hot place. And for Italian food, everybody used to go to Mangino's on the lake, which is actually still there, I believe, owned by the same family. You couldn't get in there after the races. People to get into the Tradewinds and to Mangino's, and they didn't take reservations back then. people would leave after the eighth race. There were 9 races back then. After the eighth race, to kind of beat the crowd and get online and wait. We couldn't do that because my dad was a mutual clerk. So we would have to go and wait like an hour, hour and a half for a table, 2 hours sometimes, whatever it was. But you're up there on vacation, you didn't matter. Now, today, at this point in my life, I don't wait for a table anywhere. Doesn't matter where it is. Even when Il Molino was the hot spot in New York, my brother made sure we sat right away. Never had to wait. So I don't like waiting for tables, at least not more than 5 minutes while they're clearing it off. But that said, those are the spots I like. So for those so inclined, food is it's always good to eat well. Win, lose, you got to eat. You might as well eat good food. So those are my favorite spots in Saratoga. There are others, but those are the ones I would absolutely recommend. And I had to get a dozen questions. People ask me that during this meet. So with that, Saratoga, a lot of baby races today. People wait to debut these babies. You got 3 maiden special weight races that I looked at that I thought were interesting. Always a potential superstar in those crowds. You just never know. Everybody runs these horses at Saratoga looking to make a lot of noise and looking to make a statement. So we'll talk about those real quick. One of the earlier shows we talked about workouts. I've been mentioning horses that I thought were working well and little observations I made. There were really 3 things or 3 ways that I attack these baby races, and I like them because, like I said, I like having less information. It kind of forces you to really go to work and use your tools and resources and memory, and the most important thing, the gut instinct, that part of your brain that just says go here or go there or don't go there. I trust that as much as anything I do in this game, and I suggest that everybody else does too. So with that, first race, there's just so many different ways you can go in these races. But I like to look for different things, and we'll talk about. There were 3 horses in here, and the other thing is, follow the money. In these baby races especially. But what I looked at in here, or the 3 that caught my eye, were, or maybe even 4. I kind of liked the way Gilded Age looked to me on the racetrack for Bill Mott. May Need One, Medaglia d'Oro horse out of a Bernardini mare. Obviously very, very well bred, but has an inside post going 6.5. Probably not as fast as some of the others. But I did like what I saw when I eyeballed this 2-year-old. The 2 Fan de Fair has the benefit of a race over the track and a start in the mud, has the rail. But of the firsters, Chad Brown's got a $700,000 Into Mischief out of an Unbridled Song mare, Triple Elvis, that is working pretty good. Definitely catches the eye. The other 2 were, for me anyway, Shug's horse, the 5, which is a price on the morning line. He's got a Distorted Humor colt. I used to love Distorted Humor. He's getting old now, but I love him. Out of a Sky Mesa mare that's working pretty good. And I like the fact that this horse, in the earlier part of the summer, was up at Fair Hill, where the Shug people own a barn. They bought a barn up there at Fair Hill. It's a phenomenal training center, and horses come in off of Fair Hill legged up pretty good. This horse came off Fair Hill, breezed twice at Saratoga, half mile and then a half mile out of the gate. 2 nice breezes. Shug is not known for a first-time out guy, although he's about 12, 13, 14%, which is not really that bad. But he can win when he gets one that wants to go early. So that one caught my eye. And the one that caught my eye the most was on the outside, Raymond. Another Into Mischief cost a cool mill. Adatine Pauline, who was pretty fast early in her career. I'm pretty sure she won her debut. And if memory serves correct, it might have been at Saratoga. And one of those breeding idiosyncrasies or nuances, whatever you want to call it, that I've always liked and followed is horses that win at Saratoga produce horses that win at Saratoga. I can't explain it, but I've seen it enough to know that it's worth taking note of in my book. So I do take note of it, and that horse fits that bill. We'll speed to the 7th race because that's the next maiden special weight race that caught my eye before we discuss in a little bit more detail the 2 stakes. But we'll get there. Just bear with me as I scroll. I've got the form here on my right. I use Formulator and put my own notes in there, which I think is the most valuable tool that you could possibly have. And the great thing about that is they stay in there. So the next time these horses run, your notes are in there because you're logged in under your account and you see them, and it's just phenomenal tool, especially if you like to take a lot of notes like I do. 6.5, 2-year-olds. Colts again. It's the second half of the first race, really. Couple caught my eye in here. I ignored Pletcher in the first, possibly to my detriment. He's got a constitution in there that, you know, a lot of people will like. I couldn't ignore the 2 here. My prankster, another Into Mischief. I mean, they run on anything. They come out blasting. But he's got my prankster from the inside, the 2 post anyway. They paid $600K for this one out of a Flower Alley mare. He trained Flower Alley, won the Travers with Flower Alley, I believe. Another one working really good, doing all the right things in the morning, according to my eye. The 6, Seal Beach, puts blinkers on after an okay run, first time out, but gets another furlong, 5.5 to 6. I think that's going to help this one a lot with Tyler Gaffleone and the blinkers. But the other 2 firsters were the 8 Reserve Currency for Chad Brown, who is in American Freedom, who was by Pulpit. And American Freedom is doing okay. He's about, 20, maybe even 25% from a limited number of starters so far. But they paid good money for this horse, and I liked what I saw in the morning from him in IRAD rides, and he may get a little lost in the shuffle with all these different options in here. And again, the horse on the outside, Asmussen has Cogburn, who I also liked in the morning for what that's worth. So those were the babies that I had my eye on in those races. The last race is another maiden special weight. That one's on the grass. We'll talk about that one after we talk about the 2 stakes. The Grade 2 Lake Placid, which is the 9th race on the card. I originally, when I handicapped the race, I thought there were 3 contenders. Okay, I thought the 2, the 5, and the 6 were the horses that I was going to use. Technical Analysis, Love Struck, and Spanish Love Affair. I'm going to toss Spanish Love Affair on the outside and gamble that I can get away with that. Believe it or not, I looked long and hard at Ego Trip. Ego Trip is a maiden. Okay, I loved the U.S. debut for Brendan Walsh, who was 0 for 11 or 12 at the meet. He's looking hard to get a win, and he runs a maiden in his stake against a Chad Brown horse and some other live horses. Ambitious spot, no doubt about it. He's got to really like this horse. I like the horse so much. I don't remember what the notes I said were, but the horse is on the Tracking Trips list. He'll be on the Tracking Trips site today, so you can see the notes if you're a member of that. And but I can't get to her here because it's too ambitious of a spot for me. So it's very rarely that I will let a Tracking Trips horse, first time running back since being added to the list, beat me in a race. But I can't get to her as much as I like her. potential wise, I can't get to her, and she'd have to run significantly faster. She run a 13 on Thoroughgraph that day. She's going to need to probably run a 6 to win here. That's not impossible, but it's also not likely. So I can't get to her, but she's definitely, one to watch going forward coming out of this race. But I think the most likely winner is the favorite Technical Analysis. She's got a really good pattern on the Thoroughgraph, 7-7-6. Probably go past the 6 today, to a 5 or a 4. Won the only start over the turf course in the Lake George. Comes back just about a month later. Worked twice since then, both slow breezes, but I don't think she needed anything more than that. She was slow breezing going into that last win. She had a trouble trip the race before that, so I think she's finally coming into her own, and she's bred really, really well to be a good one, and maybe she's going to kind of assert herself to be better than these other 3-year-old fillies today, decisively. But I can't leave out Lovestruck. Lovestruck won 2 starts last year. Will have to run a lot faster than that this year, but it's not impossible. She run a 9 last time out off that layoff first time, but she was kind of flat that day, and I think it's possible she goes forward. They take Alvarado off in favor of Johnny V. We've been seeing that and noticing that a lot. Well, not a lot, but somewhat with Mott this meet at Saratoga. Saw it a couple of times. He's gone to Rosario. He's gone to Johnny. He's gotten away from Junior, who's not having the best meet that a rider can have. But he did come through on High Oak for us last Saturday. So no grudges against Junior. He came through with a beautiful ride that day from the outside post and got us way, way, way into the black. So no knocking Junior, not on this show. But I'm going to toss Spanish Love Affair because as good as she looks to me on paper, and I'm just stubborn like this, you don't have to be like me, obviously. I like Santana riding the horse. I think he's a good fit. I think it's interesting that Gaffleone goes to Ego Trip, that maiden, instead of sticking with this horse. But I don't like a pattern on the sheets, and I want to kind of go narrow today. And if I'm right, get paid. And if I'm not, live to fight another day. I don't really want to get that deep on some of these races. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with those two and hopefully get by that leg. And when you got the favorite, you shouldn't have to say hopefully. You should be relatively confident. But it's Saratoga, and hopefully the weather is okay. So, as a matter of fact, we should check that. I'm assuming it's going to be okay. Hey, Google, is it going to rain? Hey, Google, is it going to rain in Saratoga Springs today?
It's likely. Today in Saratoga Springs, New York, there's a moderate chance of scattered rain from around 3 p.m. until about 11 p.m.
Moderate chance of rain, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Look out. Okay, I was hoping the rain went away by Alabama Day. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. I know it did rain very close to the racetrack last night as well. So rain is in play. Let's keep that in mind. Good thing they're going to Del Mar tonight because it ain't going to rain out there. So let's just keep that in mind. Alabama. I'll start by saying that Malathat gets a big upgrade in my book, getting off the rail. Last time she was on the rail, she was hounded the entire race. She ran very good to be second, beating the nose by Maracuja at the wire. I think from the outside, she'll turn the tables on that one today, especially at the 1.25 miles. I think she'll beat all the horses, all the fillies that were in the Coaching Club American Oaks. I think if she gets beat, it's going to be by one of the newcomers. And there are 2 that I like a lot and 1 that I like a little. So I'm going to take a shot against Malathat today, even though I think she's an upgrade off her last race, getting off the rail, because I think that was a really hard trip and she had to run really hard. Um, and getting off the rail is going to be a benefit. But I'm very intrigued by Crazy Beautiful, the one. She really jumped forward. I mean, her pattern is 8.62 on thoroughbred, so she really jumped forward. She's eligible to regress or bounce off that 2. But even if she goes back 2 or 3 points to a 4 or 5, she could still be right in the mix here. And if you look at her, you throw out that Kentucky Oaks, which, she was bothered at the start and early and kind of just mailed it in from there. You throw that out, she's just on a tear and just running very, very, very well. And wasn't that bad at 2 years old either. So I think she's a player in here, and I think she's a threat with Jose Ortiz from the rail to sting Malathat coming off that hard race. She's won at Santa Anita, shipped out there to win. She won at Delaware, which is a heavy type of track. I think she's dangerous. She looked real good galloping on the racetrack to me the other day. I watched it, and she looked really, really good, full of herself. That's what you want to see. I like it. Must use, in my opinion. Crazy Beautiful. Will Secret, the 2. Interesting horse. I made a big bet on this horse against Malathat in the Kentucky Oaks when she was 26-1. She came a little late, ran third at 26-1. I think I hit the super with her, but couldn't get to Malathat that day. But she comes back. She runs a complete flop in the Indiana Oaks. Before that, her pattern was 5-4, really good numbers that put her right in the thick of this at a big price. We know Dallas Stewart over the years. He runs big in big races at big prices. I remember years ago, I cashed on him in the Kentucky Oaks with Lemons Forever. Had to be 20-30-1. It was the year Barbaro won the Kentucky Derby. The double paid $800 and something, the Oaks Derby double. And I usually don't make that bet, but I had it for $60 or $80 or something like that when Barbaro won. And I had Lemons Forever. It was a big day and a big weekend for me. Probably close to 6 figures, maybe even over it when all was said and done. But I'm going to toss the Kentucky Oaks. And I'm going to say that extra furlong from the 1 1/8 to the 1 1/4, all things being equal, can bring Will Secret at a big price, a little closer to Malathat, and maybe beat her. So if Malathat's going to be 6-5 or 7-5 or even money or 4-5, maybe even, I would want Will Secret at 20-1, right there with her. She went on Lasix for that in the Indiana race. She's back off it for this race. She was running good without it. Maybe she reacted to that. I don't know. I'm going to just forgive that race, though. She's running here. So Dallas Stewart obviously thinks that there was an excuse. John Court, her regular rider, savvy veteran, been around a long time. At this point in his career, you think anybody would like more to win the Alabama, a grade 1 at Saratoga, than he would? I don't think so. I think he would really like that icing on his cake for sure. Dallas Stewart's been doing this with big prices. I caught him 2nd and 3rd in the Derby at ridiculous numbers and exactas and triples over the years. He knows where to run his horses, and I think he's running this filly in the right spot, and he knows what he's doing. So I'm going to include the 1 and the 2 on my ticket. I'm going to pass on Clariere. She's got a nice pattern on Thoroughgraph, but, I don't think anybody coming out of the Coaching Club American Oaks is going to beat Malathat. So, and I'm going to bet against Malathat, so I'm obviously not going to use her. Maracuja. Not only do I think that Malathat will turn the tables, I think she'll regress off that number. She ran a 2 last time, by far her best. I think she regresses. I played around in my head with this Played Hard. because I love Luis Saez on the lead at 1.25 miles with a horse that's got to win over the track. I just couldn't wrap my arms around it. I think somebody's got to get her. I like playing these kind of horses. I wouldn't talk anybody out of using this horse or playing this horse, but I'm going to gamble against her today, and hopefully somebody goes at her early enough to make sure that she's not the first one to cross the wire, and I think that will happen. Malatat, we spoke about. I'm going to bet against her. Can she win? Absolutely. Is she as good as everybody thought she was? I never thought she was all that. I thought she was good and solid, but not a superstar. Was that exposed last time in the coaching club? I don't know, because of that trip. So I can't say that it really was and that I'm definitely right. And she's not a superstar, because if she comes back and wins this one big today, she's back on that perch and on that pedestal. But I think she's going to have some competition. The outside horse, Army Wife, has got a good pattern, but looks a little slow to win. Would have to go forward, but is confident, coming in off the Black Eyed Susan and Iowa Oaks. And she's the next one that I would put in. She had a horrible trip in the Gazelle. She righted that ship in the Black Eyed Susan and exploded. She ran big again in the Iowa Oaks. Loses Rosario, who's at Del Mar for the Pacific Classic, amongst other things, to Gaffleon, who is excellent. I got no worries there. So we'll see what happens with that. But I don't know if I'm going to put her in or not. I guess it's going to be a game time call for me. I'm definitely using the 1 and the 2. The other two that I would consider are Malatat and Army Wife, but I'm going to go against Malatat and hopefully I can beat her. Johnny's riding a little better than he was earlier in the meet, and his luck's going a little better than it was earlier in the meet, but he's still not riding, vintage Johnny like he did in the past. So that doesn't mean he can't come down and get on his belly and give one of those vintage rides in the Alabama today, because he certainly can. But I'm going to gamble against her at the short price. And, the third one I would throw in, if I do throw anyone else in, is Army Wife. The last race, now we know we might be dealing with rain. I don't know. I don't want to get too involved here because, like I said, if it's going to be raining and it comes off the turf, we don't know who's in, who's out. So I was going to talk about it a little bit, but we're running a little bit long. We still got Del Mar to do, so we'll pause for a moment and we'll come back and be done with Saratoga today, and we'll do Del Mar tonight.
Reach the starting gate. It's post time. Cold Front, the favorite, comes forward. And they're into the stretch. Cold Front put to the 10. Cold Front does it again. Right in the field of the Amsterdam.
Well, as promised, Saratoga today, Del Mar tonight, Pacific Classic day, huge pick 6 pool, jackpot pool anyway, but it's a mandatory payout. There's going to be $10 million in there, so I'm not a fan of these things, but $10 million on a 20-cent bet with $10 million in the pool and a great card. I think I'll get a little bit involved here. Before we get to that, I will say this. There's a horse in the 5th race, Prince Obama, that comes from Ireland. Watch the replay, watch the works. I think the horse can run a little bit. I'll definitely be using. No cakewalk that race. It's a maiden special weight race, but it's no cakewalk. But I think that horse can run a little bit. I liked what I saw in Ireland, and I liked what I saw in the morning in California. So moving right along, the pick 6 starts in race 6, the Torrey Pines. I'll run through this fast. I'll spend a little bit more time on the Pacific Classic, but I'll run through this race. These races kind of quickly. I don't really have a strong opinion here. This is probably a race that I would spread. You got to be in it to win it. I love standing in the first leg when the opportunity presents. It does not present, in my opinion, in this race. It's a tricky race. You got horses coming out of sprints, going that mile for the first time. going 2 turns for the first time. You really, have to be careful how you gauge those horses. So, any way you want to go there is not anything that I would argue with. The seventh race, and my thought is this. This is how I'm going to play it. It's a 20-cent wager. You don't really need a single. But if you're going to go deep in some of the races and try and catch something that creates separation, it's always nice to have. And I'm a big believer in singles, but I just don't think for 20 cents you really need one. So, my strategy would be to go short in a couple of races and really step out in those other races and try and catch something. But we'll see. In the seventh race, I thought the horse to beat is absolutely the 3, Smooth Like Straight. Likes Del Mar, classy horse, ran United to a neck last time, and that was at 1 1/8. Cuts back to the mile, and I think this horse likes a mile way more than he likes 1 1/8. I think he's a really good turf miler, and I absolutely think he's the horse to beat. It's no cakewalk. I mean, Hit the Road beat him in that thrilling race in the Kilroe Mile. Got a really good ride that day and just got through on the inside and beat him. But I think on the square, Smooth Like Straight can handle him. Count Again is a horse I've been trying to catch at a big price. He's not, he's not getting up, but he's always coming fast, and he does like Del Mar. He's one to keep an eye on. And Mo Forza, coming back off a long layoff is always tough in a spot like this, but he's working well. Likes Del Mar, was as good or, I won't say better. I'll say he was absolutely as good as these when he left. Has Pratt, who's pushing all the right buttons, making all the right moves of late, and just looks better on a racehorse every time he gets on one. So he's to be respected, if not feared, in there. So it's kind of how I saw that. In the eighth, I lean to Dream Shake, going turf to dirt. He's never been at Del Mar, and he's taken blinkers off. And I like horses, and I spoke to a friend of mine who's a rider out there, one of the top riders out there, and he told me that the track was very speed friendly, and it was tough to make up a lot of ground at Del Mar. So with that in mind, it gives me a little leeriness on Dream Shake, because I think he could get maybe shuffled back a little on the inside if he doesn't get out. I'm just not sure what kind of trip he's going to get. If he was drawn outside, all in, love him, and would single him, just because I like him that much in here. But from the inside, I don't know. Scares me a little bit, worries me that the trip he's going to get. Again, Pratt making all the right moves, so if anybody's going to get him a trip from in there, it's going to be Flavien Prat. But because of that, I'm going to have to use some other horses. For those of you on tracking trips, I loved Positivity last time out. He exploded, won a big race, got claimed for $50,000 out of the race by Doug O'Neill. Can he run back to that? I don't know. He's well drawn to do it, and he's definitely confident. And Doug is pretty good off the claim, so maybe. But my top choice is definitely Dream Shake. Stand? I don't think so. I'm gonna look to use someone else, maybe even a couple of others, but he's definitely the top choice. Another one that I was looking at was Family Biz on the outside. I don't know if he's good enough, but I was looking long and hard at him. In the ninth race, I think the 2 to beat are and no surprise here, are the 2 favorites, Glowing Global and Maron. Both of them are rock solid. Both of them look like they're going to run really big today, and I think they're both must-uses. Can you get away with just those 2? I can't. I've got to throw closing remarks in there on the rail. she's always close and right behind these horses, always there. Now she comes out of a sprint on the dirt. She's never done that before. She may say, hey, I'm back on the surface I like, back on the grass, may get a little spring to her step. And she's close enough to those others that I think she can maybe make some noise with the right kind of trip. She's on the rail, going 1.125 miles with Umberto Rispoli. He rides that turf course as good as anybody in the world. Rides every turf course as good as anybody in the world. And he's going to give her a good trip from the inside. She's dangerous and may get a little bit overlooked. Chad sends Fluffy Socks out there. And New York horses tend to do very well when they ship out west. And she went out there and won already in the Jimmy Durante last year. So, I mean, she's the next one I would get to. But I don't know if you've got to go that deep or not. So stay tuned. I'm probably not, but that's another game time decision for me. Pacific Classic, great race. Really is, in my opinion, great race. I'll run through the whole field. There's not that many in there. We'll go real quick. Tripoli's 2 dirt races, really good. Last Work looks good on paper. Didn't like the way it looked to my eye when I watched it. And I'm not sure that this horse will have the same punch going 1.25 miles that he did going 1.16 miles. That's always a concern for me. He's going to get some attention today, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat these. If you put a gun to my head and said I had to take one horse in here, it would either be Tiz Magician 2 or Express Train. So Tiz Magician looks to me like he's going to be up close to the pace, likes Del Mar, probably sitting off 1 or 2 other horses, and looks like he gets the lead on the turn or coming out of the turn with Pratt and is the one they got to run down. If nobody got a strong kick going 1.25 miles today, he's going to be tough to run down because I think he's the one that's going to take the lead, turning for home, making the move at the right time with Pratt, trying to make that winning move. Can he hold him off? I don't know. We'll see, but must use in my book. Dr. Post can surely win. I don't like him. He was a step behind the better horses as a 3-year-old. Authentic, Tis the Law. Couldn't really get to them. Mystic Guide, even in the gym, never got to them. Then this year in the Westchester and the Monmouth Cup, he didn't beat anybody that I think can win this race. In the Met Mile, he was just okay against horses that would be competitive in a race like this. So, I mean, Todd ships him out there as opposed to keeping him in New York for maybe the Woodward or the Jockey Club Gold Cup or something like that. So, I don't know. I don't think he's good enough. He might fool me, but I don't think he's good enough. Royal Ship is kind of always around the money. Mandela's really good, but I think the other horses are a little bit better than him. Not going to use him. Express Train, like I said, is one of the top 2 in my book. I think he's the horse to beat. Some people think that he is not as good at 1.25 miles. He's a Union rag, so I think 1.25 miles is pushing it, but his 2.25 mile races are okay. I can make excuses in each one. I think he moved a little bit early in the Santa Anita handicap and, got nailed by Idol, who was real good at that time and got a real good ride. I think Rosario replaced Gabriel Saez for that one and really got him up. And in the Gold Cup, he was a little flat, but he came out of that to win back at Del Mar, where he's 3 for 4 with a second. So he likes Del Mar. He's back on his course. If he's ever going to get the 1.25 miles, it's going to be at Del Mar, where the Breeders' Cup is this year. So this is the race looking to set him up for the Breeders' Cup. Might not run again until the Breeders' Cup Classic if he wins today. Absolutely a must-use and horse to beat. Magic on Tap. Baffert kind of got a second stringer in here. Baffert's always dangerous, but I don't like this horse. Not a believer. Likes Del Mar, but he'll beat me if he wins. Independence Hall. I was going to make him an auto toss. I think he's a sprinter. Why would I use him in a mile and a quarter race? Well, I thought he was sitting on a big one a couple of times. His last work, I think, is the best work of his that I've ever seen. I think that's noteworthy. He had blinkers on for that work. He puts blinkers on today. So I want to toss him, but I can't. He's 1-for-1 at Del Mar as well. That was sprinting. But he's going to be close to the pace. Giroux, who, like I said, on a couple of weeks ago, has kind of become like a hired gun, half saddle, will travel. He goes all over the place riding in these big races. I'm going to throw him in and see what happens. So Sheriff Brown looks over his head to me. If he wins, I don't have him. I can tell you that. Cupid's Claws. Another one I was going to toss, but I'm not. I think that he's a deep closer on a track that's probably not going to be advantageous over, but he's run some big races, and I want somebody in case they, Tis a Magician, Express Train, Independence Hall, get involved shuffling and scuffling early, or maybe earlier than we expect them to. I want somebody coming from deep off the pace, and I had my knocks on Tripoli and Dr. Post. Royal Ship is going to be pace, I think. So I'm going to throw this horse in, and just in case things collapse late, we'll have somebody coming off the pace. So that's how I see the Pacific Classic. It closes in the 11th with the Del Mar Handicap. United, I absolutely loved last time at 3-1. If you're a Tracking Trips member, you know that. I thought that was a gift, 3-1. Loved them that day. You would think I love them today. I don't. I like them today. I don't love them. I thought that cut back to a mile and an eighth was perfect. Now he stretches back out to a mile and 3/8. He's right in it. He's a use, but I would never leave out Arclo today. Arclo looks very, very dangerous off the bad race. 1-for-1 at Del Mar. Giroux, again, there to ride him, rides this horse well, has won with him before. He's capable of throwing a race that can definitely beat these. He's a tough knocking 7-year-old, and wouldn't throw him out. Acclimate is another one I wouldn't throw out. I think somebody will go after him, but I hate being alive in the last leg of a marathon pick six and not having a horse that's winging on the lead. I don't care if they stop. If I've got more than one horse in the last leg, I want the horse winging on the lead who's probably going to be Acclimate. And the other horse that I would maybe look at, and I say maybe because it would be a late game time decision if I decided to, would be Say the Word on the outside. I think he's run some races that are good enough to make noise here. I think that the One Media Blitz is a bomb that really, if he did jump up and win at 30 or 40-1, would not shock me. And he would shock a lot of other people, but he wouldn't shock me. So that's kind of how I see that race. So I'm short enough in some of the other races, and 20 cents I can get away with spreading in a couple of the races. So that's kind of how I see the pick six at Del Mar today. So a lot to cover. Tried to get it in as fast as I could. I know it's a lot. Takes a lot of time out of your mornings. I wish I could just bing, 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 bullet point it, but we try. So anyway, we will reconvene in the morning. Sorry for taking so much time, but a lot of races, a lot of thoughts, and hopefully we got them all out there, got them all in there, and plus we talked about food too. So get to work, enjoy the races. It's a long day into this evening at Del Mar. Make the right decisions. The best to everybody. Ciao for now, and see you all in the AM. Nobody does it better.